I'm going to show you some things from my Victory Garden. So this is a Niagas tomato seedling that has come up, and see, it just has its seed leaves right now. Just a little guy. But that was planted just after the full moon in March. And some of these tomatoes are quite a lot bigger. Like, I have found that the ones with the purple stems here, they transplanted really well. So I don't think I lost any of them when I moved them from something like this into something like that, right? And you can see this one's a different kind right there. So, but not all of them are big. Some with the purple stems are still small and whatever. There are lots of other tomatoes here. There's super sweet 100s, tiny Tim tomatoes, and quite a few tumblers in there. There's some black cherry and some tiny Tims over in the corner over there. And what else do we have here? Tomato Sweetie, which is right there, and Best Boy, and something else. What was that? Marglobe is the next one over there, and it's just come up now. There's only one green grape, I think, still that's come up, but that was 2012 seed, so that was very old seed. And all of the crimson cushion beefsteaks have come up. There's lots of those. What else? Did I show you the black cherry? There's a few more black cherry, so that should be good. Anyway, lots of wonderful plants here in the porch. I move them back and forth from my 4 windows in the house to the porch every day so that they can get more sunlight. So I guess I'll show you James's dinner on the way by. It's bulgogi beef from Costco and that chicken and tofu whatever from, I think, Pad Thai or something from Costco. It was given to us for free. And so James will put the meat into here and he'll eat the gravy sort of thing from the stuff. And he's going to talk about Simone de Beauvoir today and some mission Hiroshima, looks like. I'm going to talk about this, which was excellent, minute bodies and why insects matter, biochemistry and molecular biology. So we're going to be talking about these 2 great courses for quite a while, and I loved minute bodies. So anyway, I'll show you another thing here. Just a little ways away, I have something here. So I have, I know you're thinking, oh, why experiment on the little guys? Well, as you can see, I don't have any more room in my porch for seedlings, and the rest of the windows in the house, they're pretty dark. This guy, he's not doing well right away, but you can see he's trying. He has a little bit of life there, and so give him a shot, right? The other guys are doing pretty good. So there's the Victory Garden doing well. But as you can see, those leaves right there, not so happy. They want to be moved into bigger pots soon, and so I got to get on that. And there's the pots. I just have to wash them up, and well, with a 10% bleach solution, and that'll be that. So, but I'm tuckered.
Yeah, like you did a lot of moving.
Yeah. So, I kind of look forward to spring because I get to wear this lovely dress that I got, which is a bit big for me anyway, even at my biggest, which is the spring, right? So it's a lovely dress, and so I feel glad that I get to wear it. So anyway, but it really should just be a skirt for me, because then I could wear it more often. Just cinched a lot tighter. But anyway, dresses really are better maybe depending on what kind of back you have, but man,
probably better for the back.
I can't wear skirts too well anymore. It's you know, anything, I can't wear anything that's tight around the waist, right? It just kills. And
belts are not recommended for people with backs, or even
Do it.
like a tie probably is bad for you. Like, you know, some places have a tie to that. Anyway, yeah.
So you can hear the dogs.
They know there's chow out here.
Yeah.
And
I've already, actually, I've threatened them.
if they didn't be quiet.
A little bit of corporal punishment.
Well, you were doing some, or something inside there with
Yeah.
the Victory Garden.
I know.
They started yammering, so
yeah.
yeah.
It's unacceptable. Because they had a little bit of this already. I gave them a little bit, you know, trying to say, okay, I'll give you some now and I'll give you some later, so just try to be good, right?
Then I gave them some chicken, just for going outside and having a little whiz.
Yeah.
And I told them, be good, get some more chicken, or whatever. I didn't realize there was this much beef, but yeah.
Oh, so I didn't tell you why I had the plants out there. It's an experiment, right? I told you that much. And I guess I figured, oh, well, you know why. But you probably don't, unless you're...
An aficionado?
Unless you're a major gardener, then you would be thinking, well, she's just moving them out to put them in the sun and whatever, because she doesn't have room, but they're just going to die. Well, what I did is, my neighbors were throwing away their patio door screen there for a while ago, years ago, and I took it thinking, well, I have a use for it, why throw it away? So right now I just have it leaned up against the table, and I have a few experimental plants. I mean, they're just little subjects that I hope they'll do okay, but if they don't, okay, whatever, you know, I have a lot. And the experimental subjects that are tomatoes out there, well, they're the orange lip smacking grape tomatoes. So you saw how many I had of those. I had a lot. I have a lot. And those tomatoes, I've been forcing to live in a window at the north side of the house because I don't have window space, and so I'll move them out when it's sunny and warm into the porch. But it's a lot of work for me, and
Hard in the back.
Anyway, so anyway, what gardeners will do a lot of the time before they transplant things from inside, things that they start inside, out, is they'll put them in a lath house or something, you know, just something where the plants are sort of, it's like an intermediary area where they're kind of shaded. Because if you're growing plants in the house, you may think, oh, well, that's a really sunny window that I have. Like my porch here, it's only single pane, so it doesn't hold the heat really well. It's not a heated porch or anything. And single pane, it's not going to reflect that much of the light.
But basically would cut out UV, right?
Cuts out, it does reflect a bit. And inside the house, well, they're double paned windows in the house. That reflects even more. So really, it's even a really sunny window, it's nearly as sunny as outside. So it can be tough on little plants to move from inside to outside.
They kind of get sunburned a bit now?
Well, it's just really bright for them, really hot, and it's all of a sudden dry, and they're having to struggle. So,
you want to keep most plants moist when you first spring.
Use the screen to kind of shade some of the light on the plants, and if this works out okay, if it doesn't, well, I've lost a 6-pack of little tomatoes and possibly my poinsettias, but I think they'll make it. We'll see. But if they make it, well, I can prop the other end of the screen up, and I have a whole big area to move things into. So when I've transplanted my tomatoes into those bigger pots that'll be able to hold the moisture better and put them out there, they might be okay. That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Now you're mentioning lath houses. Lathe house, is that what you're talking about? L-A-T-H-E or something like that? Is that what you're talking
I
about?
don't know.
But it does have a T-H in it, right?
Yeah.
I heard it right. It's just I've never heard of them, so...
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce
That's just in
it
case...
exactly.
Well, I'm not sure how to
read,
pronounce
right?
it either, but lath
really talk to
houses.
people.
But just in case people are like me and they don't know. Never heard about it, so...
Yeah.
So they recognize when it's written.
Well, when I was young, I just thought, well, this is a waste. But no, they actually work. So they're not a waste. What is a waste is transplanting all of your seedlings into a yard and going back the next day and half of them are dead. That's really devastating. Anyway, so let's see. I'll have to still move them back and forth. And well, it's not supposed to get too cold over the next while. Like you look, gardeners garden according to the lows, the temperature lows. Don't look at the highs, you look at the lows. So you might think, oh, it's so sunny, I can start my garden, transplant all my tomatoes outside. No!
It's under zero and you're gone.
No, you cannot. You look at the night temperatures. It's going to be really cold in the morning. So that's why I've been moving the tomatoes back and forth from the porch. And in a little while, I'll be able to leave the door open in the house and just leave them in the porch over there.
That would be great.
That'll be great. Because
Really
I'll
great
still
for your
have to be
back.
moving some things in because I plan on moving the tomatoes under the screen.
Yeah.
We'll see. So I'll have to move them back and forth because it'll still be, I think, too cold even with the...
You just can't count on it.
You can't count on it.
Sometimes the predictions are off by 2 or 3 degrees.
Yeah.
And if it's
you
predicting
really have to
2
watch it.
above,
Exactly.
all of a sudden you
That's
have
too
minus
chancy.
1,
So,
a lot of dead plant.
yep. Gotta move them in. So, and another thing that I found in the past, it's amazing. I was showing you my basil that I transplanted and stuff, or maybe I wasn't showing you the basil exactly, but anyway, I transplanted a bunch of basil, and it was not quite a plug tray. You know, that there's more space in there than a plug tray. Anyway, so I put them in that because I'm like, oh, I got to move these tomatoes. It's too crowded, and I really expected a lot of dieback, you know, tangling, just getting the roots apart and stuff like that. And every once in a while, I'd hear the sound of roots snapping, and I was like, oh, you know.
Because there are not many.
And I am not gardening the way the gardeners should garden, by the way, because this is taking a lot of time, moving them from, you know, one thing all tangled together into another. But I'm using old seed. And
You weren't sure if any would come in for some of the packages, so
yeah. So
you're
anyway,
kind of making it up as you go along.
and I do other things when I do that. So, you know, you can watch TV while you're doing that, or you can sometimes, you know, my body can't do as much as it used to. There's like things like washing all these plant pots. Well, I could do that when I was young. I'd get home from work and I'd do something like that in the evening and plant off my pot. Now it might take me a week to get all that done, and it used to take me just not very long at all. It didn't even seem like I was doing anything. You know, it was just you just get this done. Whatever. You get older and you have the body that you have to deal with, and that's that. You know, you still want to try to do this stuff because I love gardening. I love it. But it's really hard now. Anyway.
Eventually, well, people get to the point where they have to give things up. But how old was your grandma on your dad's side when she finally had that plastic flower?
I don't know, James. You asked me that. On my dad's side. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe when she was 80 or something like that, or 75.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just remember all of a sudden, like, she used to always have a lot of fuchsias and what else? Petunias and such, and geraniums, right? And so she'd have her flowers, and then after a while, she had the hanging baskets, but they were artificial flowers, you know. And she'd say, oh, they're just as good. But you knew she didn't think that, right? But you knew, well, she just can't do it anymore. So.
Well, for me, getting out and walking is just as good as running, but I'd love to be able to play soccer, but walking is plenty fine. She was being sensible.
Yeah, you do
Staying
what you
within
can.
what she could handle.
Yeah. So anyway, minute bodies. This is beautiful, and I think I've seen some of this guy's work before in the past. But it says Smith worked in the early years of the 20th century, developing various cinematographic.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping me with that. And microphotographic techniques to capture nature's secrets in action. And oh, it's so beautiful. It's black and white, as you'd imagine it would be, because it's in the early years of the 20th century.
Now, originally they were silent, right?
Oh, well, yeah, they are silent films, but
they've added
music. Yeah, so
and
there's
it's not period music.
It's beautiful.
It sounded to be pretty synthesized or something like that. Electronic, maybe.
Yeah. So this is just the kind of thing I love. I love watching this stuff. And some of it I was watching going, is this real or is this just animated or whatever? Some of it doesn't, but it's probably all real. I don't really know much about the tiny world, right? I see some things that are real and I'm like, oh, look at that flower that he's showing a bee landing on. It doesn't even look like a real bee, it's like, but I guess maybe because it's black and white and whatever. But it's lovely.
Anyway, it's all small scale stuff then. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So there's different things like there's no explanation as to what the things are. So you're just watching this stuff. It's beautiful. It's basically an art film, right? You look at this beautiful nature stuff.
It's almost abstract.
And with the music. Yeah, sort of. And so it's more art than science that way. Because you don't know unless you know. Unless you know what it is. Like, there are some things that aren't that minute that you're like, oh, well, that looks like a sweet pea bloom, or a pea bloom at least, right? Because it's not in color, so you don't know for sure. And anyway, or a bee. Recognize things like that. But some of these things are so very small that I have no idea what they are. Anyway, very beautiful. I love it. That's the watch that just drove by. I
don't mind them dropping by.
No, but honestly, I don't understand. Like when they were walking, I thought, oh, well, that's kind of nice or whatever. But now that they have a truck and stuff,
What are they actually going to notice?
Maybe they had problems with their people not being safe, though.
I think they usually had a man with a woman or something like that, right? If they sent out two women, they could be in trouble pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Some of the crazy idiots we've got wandering around the streets and alleyways here in Lethbridge.
So why insects matter? We were talking about the bee in this, or I was just now, and I wrote a poem about a bee yesterday, because we actually saw one, which I didn't expect. Here it is. At the same time,
you watching this.
Yes.
Watching that. Yeah. It was our first bee of the season.
Of the season, yes, of the year. And she was lovely. She liked James's strawberries that I packed out.
Yeah, you knew it wasn't a wasp because it wasn't going for things that looked like meat or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway. And it's funny because when I was at Seedy Saturday, I noticed somebody had a display of different kinds of bees.
Yeah, it was kind of like bee day or something like that instead of D day.
Yesterday, yeah. So there were lots of different bees, and I was talking to the person about them, and they were pinned and like mounted there in a glass thing, whatever. And it bothered me. Like in college, I had to collect a bunch. I don't think it was many. I think it was something like 15 different insects and identify them, label them, whatever. And I didn't want to do it. And I felt so sorry for one woman. She was a vegan lady. She was very nice and gentle, and she had collected this ground beetle. And ground beetles, like a lot of insects, you can put them in the freezer and they'll die, and then you can work with them. Ground beetles, though, they're like little tanks. You can freeze those suckers solid and they come back to life. And so here she had it pinned and mounted. It was wiggling around, and I felt so bad for her. It must have just crushed her. But then I suppose she thought, okay, well, maybe if I take the pin out after I get the grade, maybe this thing will live still. I don't know. Anyway, it bothered me. Things have to change. The people that go in to study different subjects to do with the sciences, they're in order to make it, to graduate from those programs, you have to be
hard-hearted.
Yeah, and that has to change. There's no need for it. So the days of, like, you go to the doctor and you know, okay, well, that person pithed a frog. That's horrible. Why? That's horrible. They shouldn't have to do that. Becoming an entomologist and having to kill a bunch of insects that, like they're talking about the different native species of bees being endangered and going extinct and whatever, and here's this display of bees, and I'm like, this is like a trophy hunter's thing. It's obscene. And things have to change. These aren't the kind of people that we want graduating from programs that we're relying on these aren't the kind of people we want to be caring about ecology, about the nature that they're trained to care for. It doesn't make any sense. It has to change. There's no need for it. There's very good cameras now. There has been for a long time.
That's over 100 years, probably. Yeah.
This is not necessary. You don't need to kill things that you're supposed to love. Anyway. So, boy, this alley is very popular for a Sunday. You don't see that very often.
Oversized vehicles, too. That thing is...
Anyway.
Yeah, no, it's probably just scoping the vehicles.
Yeah, we were learning about the bees, and this, too, I was going to say, about the... I guess you call it the waggle dance or whatever. And
yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice. And we're learning about the different things that the dance means, that the bees, they do this little wiggle dance to the workers, to tell other workers where an awesome food source is. So maybe the strawberries that were out yesterday, the little bee, she might have went home and said, oh, you gotta go try this. So,
and we had it out of there.
Yeah, so her other friends wouldn't have seen them. But yeah, so they give directions, and I guess he explains in this how long, like they'll take a certain amount of time to explain the distance, right? As long as well as like where to go, the direction, as well as which is interesting, right? In the little dance. So then the other workers know exactly where to go because they all work together.
Yeah, I think the way it is, if I understood the way you're explaining it, they do a figure eight and axis. Excuse me, the figure eight.
Yeah, it's like
indicates where they're at.
Yeah.
And apparently they spend more time
where the axis crosses.
Where they cross.
Yeah.
Wiggling their abdomen or something like that. So they're kind of doing a disco dance there. The longer they spend doing that, apparently, the farther away it is. But they must have other means of locating the stuff. Do they have a sense of smell or something like that?
Well, one thing I'm going to mention about this right away. The guy seems really knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But there's some things, like, just you're looking at the title and you're like, come on now. Why insects matter? Earth's most essential species?
Well, say they're the most. I don't know.
But I
Could
guess
be plankton for all we know.
yeah, but insects aren't one species; they're many.
Well, there are many.
And
Does it say one?
well, it doesn't say one exactly, but
No. Species, I think, is
yeah,
could
I
be
know.
plural or singular.
And but anyway, I don't know. I would have rather that was just left out of there. The Earth's most essential species. But and then there's one thing that he said about you can buy ladybird beetles, ladybugs, as most people know them, and release them in your garden, and they'll take care of your aphids. Well, they won't, because they'll fly away, because that's what they do. So you can buy the ladybird beetles
And you're
to
benefiting
control your
someone
aphids,
else.
but yeah, you're benefiting someone else because they're going to leave. So anyway, but he does know quite a lot. I'm learning a lot about insects, and I'm loving it. So the great course is great.
So what it would happen is a particular area could only support so many of them, and so the ones that the excess population would just head somewhere else. Is that basically what happened?
I don't know. I think it's a part of just their
Yeah.
whenever they emerge, then they're just used to leaving. Because
Okay.
I guess I don't know, when they've been bred to have a lot of them there, and then when they come out, then they're like, oh, there's going to be too much of us here, right?
So they don't even wait around
I
to
don't
start
think they wait
starving.
around
It's
to
just
see.
an automatic
Yeah, they just
response.
go.
But it is a matter of overpopulation.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So anyway, I was going to talk about biochemistry, but I only have 2 minutes. I can't believe I wasted so much time talking about this stuff. So you might as well introduce your book for two minutes.
Mm-hmm. A minute each book. I've still got about, I don't know, 50 pages left in this one. But I got through roughly 300 pages. Just overnight. This in Hiroshima, written by a guy called Paul W. Tibbets. He's the commander of the Enola Gay. That was named after his mom. And that was the plane that dropped the bomb over, not right over Hiroshima. It was detonated almost 2,000 feet above Hiroshima. And that apparently was for a variety of reasons. One of the things it did apparently was minimize the amount of radioactive damage to area and people below. Guy's unapologetic, and some Japanese they're probably still talking about reparations. No freaking way. I don't want them paying reparations to China, but they killed off 10 to 15 million Chinese people in the space of 8 years. That's pretty ambitious. Hiroshima's awful. No, the Americans were putting out 1,000, apparently something like 1,000 bomber raids on Germany and Japan. Well, if it's almost over.
In 20 seconds.
Yeah. So if each one of those planes has a 2,000-pound bomb, that's like a ton. That's like 1,000 tons. That's what an order of magnitude